My name is Pete Buttigieg. They call me Mayor Pete. I am a proud son of South Bend, Indiana, and I am running for President of the United States.
One of the ways in which you stand out is that you're 37, and if elected, you would be the youngest president ever.
And you speak 7 languages. What are they?
So I'm not claiming to be fluent in most of them, but my French is pretty good. My Spanish is good enough. I can at least read through an article in Norwegian, Arabic, Italian, a couple others.
Me too.
People are trying to make sense of this huge, sprawling field. What's your line?
I don't know. I think everybody wants to fit you on an ideological spectrum, which I think has never been less relevant. I think more and more people just want to know what your ideas are and whether they make any sense. I view myself as a progressive, but these labels are becoming less and less useful.
I'm really worried, especially coming from the industrial Midwest, that our party has trouble reaching people who actually believe in our values. They just haven't heard from us in a while. And I think coming from that part of the country, as well as the generational background that I have, and the background of being a mayor, which just puts you in a different headspace, I think, than if you go to work in Washington every day. When I came out in 2015, it was for the simple reason that I was finally ready. I had been wrestling with my sexuality for years. And if I had not deployed to Afghanistan, I might never have found the courage to come out. My marriage to Chasten has made me a better man. And yes, Mr. Vice President, it has moved me closer to God.
You said this, we need to see the emergence of a religious left in our country.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
So much of what Christ's teachings are about have to do with the way that we take care of the least among us. And I see now in the White House this celebration of how powerful you can be and how rich you can be, as if that's the same thing as virtue. I think for those of us who think that our morality is something that needs to be in touch with our religious faith personally, then it's really important to explain that this is not, no one party has a monopoly on faith.
2015, you said that all lives matter when you spoke about 2 police controversies that were happening in South Bend. Was that a mistake?
At that time, I was talking about a lot of issues around racial reconciliation in our community. What I did not understand at that time was that phrase, just early into mid, especially 2015, was coming to be viewed as a sort of counter slogan to Black Lives Matter. And so this statement that seems very anodyne and something that's kind of nobody could be against actually wound up being used to devalue what the Black Lives Matter movement was telling us, which is what we needed to hear. Since learning about how that phrase was being used to push back on that activism, I've stopped using it. Look, it's audacious, almost obscene for somebody my age, but really any human being to think they belong in that office. And yet everybody who's had that office has been a mortal human being who's brought their experience to the table. I have more experience in government than the president. I have more executive experience than the vice president. I have more military experience than anyone to arrive at that desk since George H.W. Bush. I think a lot about the way the world's going to look in 2054 when I reach the current age of the current president. Why not have somebody in there who actually views the condition of the country in that year as a personal issue, not somebody else's problem?